Yeah, thank you for that background out there. And to discuss more on today's topic, electronic civil registration and vital statistics, I'd like to introduce to you Honorable Nasil Isa Kwara, Chairman, National Population Commission. You are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you. And also with us this morning, we have in the studio Mr. Ibrahim Sise, is the Chief Child Protection UNICEF Nigeria. Mr. Sise, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria. Very pleased to be here.
And also to join in our conversation this morning is Adedayo Bankole, and he is the MD CEO Banks Food Technologies Limited. Mr. Bankole, good to have you with us.
Good morning, and good morning, Nigeria.
And much later, when we have him, we'll be introducing him. He'll be Matthew Sunday Timidaya. That will be Director of Vital Registration, National Population Commission. So let me start with the Chairman of National Population Commission, Honorable Nasri Isa Kwara. It's been a while we has had conversation. Let's quickly talk about this CRVS. ECRVS, is it part of the planned national population census, or is it a standalone event?
No, it's
not an integral part of it.
Census is conducted periodically. The civil registration and vital statistics is implemented daily.
Daily?
Every minute, every hour.
Okay, yes. So this is a standalone event.
It is standalone, but it's supposed to complement the census. Once census is taken and we have an up-to-date ECR system, it will give us an idea of Nigerian population every minute.
So what is this all about, this registration?
Okay, the registration actually is the mandate is given to the Commission by the Constitution, as well as the law setting up the Commission. The whole essence is globally civil events are registered, right from birth through to death. But it is very comprehensive. You register birth, stillbirth, also register migration, you register, we take notification of marriages and annulments of marriages, and also the issue of migration. And doing that, we maintain registers. And in the past, there's been a traditionally manual system where pen and paper, we take data of all those that are born and those that died, those that move around. But now, with the decision taken at Addis Ababa, we are encouraged, every member state is encouraged to digitize the entire process. In fact, we started ours earlier than the conference, but we have adopted a PPP arrangement whereby we have at the background a technology company. That's Banksford has developed the app, and we have tested it in a number of projects with UNICEF. Now we're getting to launch it because we want everybody to be properly registered. If you are a newborn baby, you are captured, that your data is captured. If you were not registered at birth, we'll do attestation for you for an adult. Instead of using court declaration, if you go to most of the embassies and most agencies, they don't take those declaration of it. They have to come back to MPC to get the attestation certificate. So all this is now going to be in a digital form. We have a database that we can now interoperate with other agencies such as NIMC, INEC, Nigerian Immigration Service, and so on and so forth. So we do that to be able to promote the United Nations legal identity program, so that any part of the world you get to, you have this identity as being a Nigerian, and you can be traced to anywhere here in Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that insight into CRVS there. But let me come to Mr. Bankole here, who is the MD of Banksford, and your company is the one bringing this technology on board. What is the difference between the analog and this technology? I mean, what difference is it? And also, what are the benefits of this system coming?
Thank you, the moderator. Essentially, of course, we know what manual is and we know what technology is. So what we have done, working with National Population Commission, is to take the business rules. What have they been doing with the manual? The B1 form is what is translated into digital. Then you give people access to be able to go online to the MPC website for adults to use their complementing the NIN to call their data and just have access to their birth certificate. You are aware that most of the manual cannot be verified. Where is the data kept? Of course, they have the booklet, but it's difficult to refer to booklet of 20 years, 10 years to start searching. But at the point of pressing of a system, you can easily put a certificate number and you see where this man was born, who is his parents, what locality, and all of that is put in consideration. So it's a lot of stuff we've put in place to make sure we make it easy for the people to verify birth certificates, and also to give confidence to the world at large, to say Nigeria is moving to that part where the hope is actually renewed. For us, there's a lot of advantages, and the advantage is accessibility to service. Then it's a civil right. Civil registration is the right of Nigeria, so it shouldn't be that cumbersome for people to go through difficulties to get their birth certificate. So it has lots of benefits that...
Do people have to go to a particular center to do this registration, or you can do it from anywhere? I mean, in your offices, this is electronic.
Correct.
So, I mean, do we have to go to a particular center for the registration, one? Then secondly, I want to ask, those of us who have registered in the past, we are not newborn babies and all that. Our former details,
correct,
do we have to go again to capture, or what happens to that?
Okay, coming to that was why I mentioned accessibility. Accessibility is you can do it anywhere, everywhere, all over the world. For those Nigerians that even live in diaspora, there's a model of it that is we have a birth notification of Nigerian born over there, the death over there. It's been notified into the system, and they can generate a digital certificate. You don't really need to print. But of course, if you want to print, then you can then now go to the MPC to get certified through copy. Some people believe in papers. Of course, we can't take that off the shelf. However, you had mentioned about, what was the last question you mentioned?
Those of us.
That is a legacy document. Of course, there will be a revalidation.
Okay.
Because sometimes, a lot of people go to the court and get affidavits of age. What you register with MPC is not what you have in your hand again. So people have different age, So we can't rely on that old legacy, really, because a lot of people forgot their, maybe they misplaced their documents and they went to the court and do the affidavit. However, the information does not really match. In the process of doing the affidavit, you have changed your name, women get married, and a lot of things happen. But yes, the funding partner are also working on how to upload the legacy. You just go into the system and revalidate. You have a certificate in your hand. They have the record in manual form. We're trying to see how we can upload all of the 30 million more into the system, so people just go in there and still revalidate. Okay. Because of course you still need to be in the database so that the embassies or the corporate organization or the government, if they want to employ, to really validate and make sure that you are in the system. Yes.
All right, Mr. Bankole, thank you. Let me take my question now to Mr. Ibrahim Sese. Mr. Sese, I know you're UNICEF, and UNICEF has a lot to do with children and all that, but you're also a partner in this. You're UN, helping out developing countries. But in some cultural settings here in our country, some people will probably be morbid to, know that they can keep death certificate of a loved one or spouse. We can understand birth certificate, of children. We can understand the importance and all of this. Can you put all of this within context? In terms of development, what does it mean?
Thank you so much for that question. The issue of having a record which is valid, reliable, to really keep track in terms of population size, both in terms of births and deaths, is very, very vital. When it comes to planning processes, where should we really locate a school when you really look in terms of how things have been? So the population segment within that catchment area will really give you a good sense of what things are. If government is planning with regards to bringing in vaccines for children, you should be able to know exactly the numbers that we are really dealing with. Then when it really comes in terms of accessing other basic social services, take for instance issues with regards to cash transfers, the health insurance that is now coming. It gives us a very good sense with regards to what our population is, and in near real time to make sure that resources are adequately allocated in locations where they are needed most. On the issue of deaths, it's very, very important. We should be able to keep a history with regards to causes of deaths. This will really help us to really see what measures we really need to take. For instance, if there is a pandemic, which locations is this really happening? For those who've already passed on, how can we really update our registers in terms of resources for them not to be wasted? In some situations, like when a particular individual is dead, there could be other elements that are very important. An update of the electronic voting register, for instance. But so all of those elements are very, very critical for us to really have a very good, reliable data that is well secured, and then for us to really help us and inform our development processes. So the political commitment, the resources that are required will be very, very critical in this endeavor.
Okay, let me, Honorable Isa, I'm just wondering, because we're talking about, data collation, and we know that there are various agencies that already have developed very comprehensive, biometrics of almost every Nigerian. If you talk about, planning for humanitarian purposes, we have the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. In fact, as it is now, that ministry says it has a very well captured data of Nigerians with different biometrics. You also have NIMSI with so how are you interfacing with all of these agencies that seem to do almost the same thing that NPC is mandated to do?
Thank you very much. The NPC is custodian of the mother of all data. We have the statistical data, and we have the geospatial data. The identity ecosystem comprises NPC, NIMC, and so many other agencies. The ministries, MDAs, they rely on NPC, NIMC, and those other agencies to be able to get the data they require to execute their mandates. Just yesterday, I had a meeting with the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, and we had discussions along that line. We are good partners with each of the MDAs. Some will provide information. Some will get information from them, like in the Ministry of Health. All records of birth and death we get from them. So we interface with those ministries because most, not all, births take place in hospitals. Most deaths take place in the hospital. Where those events do not occur in those hospitals, they're at community level. We've come up with a community stakeholder organization that will be able to provide us those data so that we can enter into our database, and we have that updated from time to time. Yes, there are many data collecting agencies. We are also streamlining all our data and also making sure that we interoperate very well with each other.
Okay. Thank you very much for bringing clarity to that. Let me come back to Mr. Bankole here. I mean, your organization is the one in charge of this data collection. Now, let's look at the fact that this electronic registration and vital statistics. I have a question that. Okay, this is the question. Let me ask this question. When we talk about this issue of accessibility with respect to what happens in the rural area when it comes to there is no internet in some rural areas in local communities and all that. So how accessible would it be for those living in those areas?
Thank you. Okay, so in developing the application, what we have put in consideration is all of this. We understand our terrain, we understand the infrastructure in different communities and all of that. So what we did was to have a module called offline module. Offline module allows you to still continue to do whatever you need to do at that rural community. However, the moment the network speaks, it puts the data into the central database of National Population Commission. However, the data being captured is encrypted. If the hardware is stolen or something happened to it, you can't see, you can't have access to the data. I don't want to take you into the full technical jargons, but I can assure you that every child is their right to have a civil, to be civilly registered. And what we have done, like the chairman had mentioned, is to have a community-based relationship with the stakeholders. So say some people have their child at the imam's house, pastor's house, herbalist. We also have people to go in there and capture. And we put in consideration also that there might not be network infrastructure. So all of those will be captured and be pushed into the central database. So that is taken care of.
This app.
But I want to say something. You talked about the hardware, the installing or whatever.
Right.
So how secure is this data? How secure is this data protection?
Okay.
What measures are you putting in place to ensure that the data, is protected?
Okay, I had mentioned what we call data encryption.
Okay.
We encrypt the data such a way that you can have access to it even if the hardware is taken. However, we also implement what we call mobile device management system, in which we track all where our devices are, regardless of it. If you switch off the phone, we know where it is. If we know the level of the battery, we know the house, we know where you are at a point in time. And you can actually, on the hardware, we can switch it off from any, because it's national data. And there's a data protection law that you have to protect people's data. And before all of this, it's over a year-long period for us to get through all of this, because we also need to go through the national national security advisor clearance. We went through the DSS to make sure that we're qualified to actually manage the national database. So all of that is put in consideration.
Mr. Bankole,
yes, sir.
I don't know, what exactly is this app? Because we know, for instance, INEC has beavers,
yes,
which is used for capturing. I mean, and that will require you, of course, your physical presence at the site of capturing. Okay. There are also other apps, that you can simply download, yes, and then you now fill it in. And so, what exactly is this app that's about to be launched.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and how complex is it?
Okay, it's not so complex because we're customer-centric about this.
Okay.
Customer-centric means that anybody that have
Yes,
access
it's
to it.
customer-friendly.
Correct. So the application is in different phases. Okay, we have the one that is web-based for adults or for people who Nigerian who live in diaspora, who can go to the MPC website and have access to it. We also do a form of a validation in terms of NIMSI integration with the system. If you already have NIN, all you needed to do is to put your NIN. There's a lot of few questions that will be asked. When you put your NIN, it brings out all your name. Fix it there, you can change it. Then we bring out your picture to match if you are really the one. Because of course, you know...
Would you require that same, individual to be physically...
on your system or on your phone? Yes, you have to. Because we have to make sure the data integrity. You don't want to bring a lot of people. You don't want to bring foreigner into your database.
It then means that everybody, Demola and I, everybody now is involved in this capturing process.
Every Nigerian is involved. We need to get it right this time around. This is Renew Hope. Where is the hope? So we can have to bring it back to the point in which we make sure that the data integrity is top notch. So that is the part of the web base.
Now that once you put your name, you can't change it again. What about those who just got married and they want to change that?
Then you now go through the process in which we call modification. Modification means that you go through the process. There are a few documents that is required. Maybe your marriage certificate and all of that.
Of course, you have to have an affidavit.
Then yes, you have an affidavit. Then your marriage certificate. That will go through a form of an approval because we have what we call eyeballing by the National Population Commission. When you submit for name change, okay, then somebody will sit at the back and sit on it and compare all the documents you send into it. Of course, there will be a publication of changing of name and all of that. So we're also taking all those metadata to keep for record purpose. So when that is done, and I can bet you it won't take up to 24 hours if you have to change that because somebody needs to approve to make sure all documents submitted is genuine and it match into what you want to change.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bankole.
Sorry, you just said that, sorry, Demola,
Okay,
you just said that it will take 1 year.
No. I said it is taking a lot of process before we get to where we had to.
How long would you require to complete the process?
It's done. By the time the president launched it, it's been used.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah. By UNICEF is sponsoring a lot of over 23 states for the child. So there's a point I wanted to make. So
if it's being used, then Demola and I when it captured.
Not for the adult, not until the president approved go live. What is being used now is what we call be sponsored by UNICEF to capture. We've captured over 5 to 6 million children birth sponsored by UNICEF, and we're looking to have over 10 to 12 million between now and December. However, when the president launched this, it will be available for all Nigerians. Then the adults can now then go and do their attestation to attest that yes, I'm the person that claims to be. But you can do it without confirming. Also confirming that you are the real person. Okay. So through NIMSI integration, yes. Right. So you verify your data, so we capture you and all of that. However, another part of it is this agent assisted. We partner with the whole hospital, which is the minister, the Honorable Minister for Health, with the UNICEF and MPC are working to make sure that all of that is done. All hospital, we have access to a system to register every birth and every death at that point, including stillbirth. Because of course we should be able to account for all of that to support the population. In the Western world, yes, you do censor, but it's done differently. It's because of the chairman then they brought to make sure that the censor is done electronically this time around. Then we can then now feed our data by plus or minus, who left Nigeria, who comes in, who was born, who died, and all of those information.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bankole, for giving us an insight into the workability of the system. Now, let me go to Mr. Ibrahim Sise, which is the UNICEF representative here. Let's look at the contribution of UNICEF to this whole process. That is the electronic civil registration and vital statistics. What is the contribution of UNICEF here?
Thank you so much. UNICEF, on our own, we don't really just run programs. We're here to really support the efforts of government. And the key partner with the responsibility with regards to civil registration in this country is National Population Commission, of which we have a very cordial relationship. And then trying to really ensure that the right of every child is to a name and nationality. How does this work? Through time, a lot has really happened with regards to legal identity, which centers around birth registration. And we first worked on an evaluation to really tell us where are the gaps? What is it that is working? What can we do differently? And that led us to carry out an assessment of the operational effectiveness in putting together a digital civil registration system, and there were certain elements that we took into account. One is the digitalization itself in terms of the technology. The second, the legal framework that really gives us a way to ensure that digital records are part of the law. The third is the human capacity, the resource base, so that we'll be able to make sure that NPC is ready in consideration of their mandate, and how can they also work with others, like the Ministry of Health, like what you've mentioned previously by the chairman, in terms of data effectiveness and data interoperability. How can they really get access to NIM, like with NIMC? So the partnership arrangement that goes with it, we were able to really look at this as well. And last but not the least, you were mentioning in rural settlements. The registration of births in rural communities is 32% currently, as against 60% in urban areas. For every day, 20,000 Nigerian children are born, which gives us somewhere between 7.5 to 8 million children a year. So those registrations have to be done, but in a credible way, so that we'll be able to really get this data. So all of this work, in terms of laying the foundations for things to really move on, was really supported by UNICEF, working alongside with the Commission and other stakeholders. Like we've mentioned, the Ministry of Health, NIMC, NITDA, you have a Budget and Planning Ministry, and all of this constitutes a very good and a strong relationship and collaboration, so that we'll be able to look at this. One, in terms of the technology, like what Bankole mentioned, you cannot just develop a technology today and then you sell it out. This has gone through different iterations to make sure, one, is it really of use, fit for purpose for Nigeria in rural communities? How can we make sure the digital systems that we are putting in place, including data collection tools, are effective enough? How can we really move on in terms of mobilizing and creating the demand for civil registration, and including birth registration? So these are some of the investments that we are putting in place, and we've worked very closely, like with Bankford. Currently, we almost about 5 to 6 million just for this year. We are looking somewhere around 12.7 million, because if we don't take significant strides in terms of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, 16.9, and I tell you, this is one of the only goals that we know we are on track to really achieve in Nigeria. And this is where it is very, very critical for us to see that every Nigerian child has got a birth certificate, and which will really lead to ensuring the right to a name and nationality. What distinguishes you from others is what? Your birth certificate, that you are a Nigerian born, or even those who are also outside of Nigeria, but they are in country. We also make sure we promote short rights as refugees that are coming in, but that does not give you a nationality, but it only registers your birth. So these are very critical elements that we are now working together. But what is critical, more critical, the digital system is in. How do we make sure we optimize its use so that it becomes of benefit to Nigeria as a country? When you look in terms of the political commitments that are now in play, which will really help us in terms of planning purposes, access, children's access to basic social services, tying this up from a number that will identify you from birth to death. So these are all the embodiments we're putting in, and this is just the, I will say what? The road to a long destination, or the road through a long journey, but obviously the foundations have already been laid based upon evidence so that we don't repeat the same mistakes like what we've done in the past, even including forecasting in terms of the financial muscle to make sure that it really works, because that will really tell you what we should really be doing in a very proper manner.
Ceci, thank you. As you speak, you know, a number of questions keep coming. I hope I'm able to remember them. But you talked about political will, that Mr. President himself will launch this. You already got the political will at the highest level. So political will, you've gotten it. But I want to look at another aspect, which will be effectiveness and sustainability. Now, in other climes, I understand, you know, it took about several, you know, maybe years, if not centuries, to perfect, you know, the CRVS system. I would presume that it's continuous after the launch. You expect people, you know, to voluntarily, you know, go to be captured or register their births. Now, in those rural areas where you probably will have, you know, higher population of registrants, registration is sometimes, you know, confused to be numbering. And numbering for them, for some cultures, you and I know, is a taboo. So how do you intend, you know, to reorientate these people so that you get, you know, the program is sustained, and if ultimately you get the effective, you know, system that you desire?
Thank you very much. This is a very, very good question. You see, once you set up a system, you have to also provide mechanism for sustainability and continuous improvement of the system. So, working with the technology experts as well as support from, we need to continually improve the capacity of our staff. The entire process was analog before, now it's digital, so there will be training and continuous training of our staff and reorientation of the staff, as well as the populace, of the need to have this system work for us. We are not, we're part of a global system, and every nation state is embracing technology to update the system. We want to be able to achieve 100% coverage for Nigeria, and in the process promote universal health coverage for every person. We want to be able to get to a stage whereby we have a clock ticking. Because of the geospatial data that we have, if we lay this data, e-CRVS data on it, you should be able to know in every ward, every local government, every state, how many births, how many deaths is taking place at that particular time. We want to be able to have that clock and have it in the office or in some strategic places where people can see in the last 1 hour how many children were born.
You know, Chairman, sorry to interject. You know why I'm asking is during COVID, you know what it took to convince, you know, majority of Nigerians just to go for the vaccine.
Yes, I'm getting there.
It takes a lot. Okay.
I'm getting there because it will involve a lot of advocacy, enlightenment, and commitment of both the government and the leadership at the community level to get this thing right. And we've been holding conferences, seminars at the national level. We need to cascade it down to state and local government so that we're sensitizing the people of the need to have their children registered. You know, there is registration, there's certification. You get you registered means that you have your birth registered. So it can be an e-copy, or you want it certified printed in a certificate form. you can have it.
Yes, Mr.
So,
Chairman, you talked about building the capacity of the officials that are going to work
yes.
on this project. What about, are you looking at involving or engaging the traditional rulers? Because they are the influencers.
Exactly.
They can easily get to these people and convince them. What are you approaching them? Are you going to engage them in this scheme? And also not only the traditional ruler, even the religious leaders as well.
Yeah.
So are you carrying them along?
Yes.
And what plans do you have in place to educate them on this project?
Thank you very much. We've been doing this a long time ago. For a very long time we've been doing this. And even at this launch, we were having royal fathers come in to grace it. And the message will cascade down. They are our major stakeholders. Whatever we're doing at the commission, without the engagement of the traditional rulers and the religious leaders and community leaders, we cannot get anywhere. So they are our major stakeholders. So any discussions we're having, engagement we're always engaging with them. But what we're saying is that we need to really take it down to the state, to the local government level, to the community level. Yeah. Because the commission now has data on the entire localities in the country.
Okay.
We have data of the entire buildings in the country, whether they're residential or institutional. So we have, for instance, a total number of hospitals, total number of schools, all distributed, total number of police stations, army formations, all those things we have that captured via satellite imagery and GPS, GIS. So we have that, and we're using that to
traditionalists. Do you have that? Because some of this, the pregnant women, they visit them for delivery and all that. Are you also capturing them in this system?
Yes, they are also part of the ecosystem. We use them properly to be able to get data and data rightly. We do not want to leave anybody behind in all this process.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me come back to Mr. Bankole. Let's look at the features of these data or of this electronic system.
Yes, sir.
What are the major features, and how do we go about it?
Okay, one is the birth registration. We have the stillbirth. We have the attestation. We have the death. We have the birth in diaspora.
Okay.
We have the death in diaspora. We have the adoption. We have the marriage notification. And we need to be clear about this because there's a lot of legality around it. Ministry of Interior, register, courts get people married, local government. MPC is not giving you birth certificate, the marriage certificate. They are not getting you married. They are saying notify the system.
Okay.
After you get married, legally notify the system. It's part of the constitutional right in the act to know who gets married and who gets
You need
divorced.
to emphasize that because people,
Right.
what we're saying now, a lot of people will have the impression that look, don't do the registry.
No. So that is why I'm clarifying it. That
So
it's very important.
Go to the registry.
Go to the registry. When you go to the registry, go to MPC website and notify the MPC.
Notification.
Yes,
You
because
impute your details.
right, impute your detail. Your husband or your divorce also we also do that. I mentioned adoption. I mentioned is a lot of them. Movements. Actually, we're supposed to capture the people that move from Lagos to Ibadan, from Ibadan outside the country and coming inside the country.
So
of course, we're
interstate as
interstate. We're going to get there because we should be able to account for the number of people that actually reside in a particular state. If you move from Abuja to Lagos, now you've changed. Maybe yesterday we have the total number of people that live in Abuja. Now one is gone. We have to notify Lagos. We have to have it in the record for analytics purpose to say that, speaking from the point of strength, this is the number of people that live in Lagos. This is the number of people that live in Ibadan. This is the number of people that live in Kano. So all of those things were meant to be recorded, but it's going to go through a lot of process. That is why the chairman said it's a process.
Okay, but sorry to interject. We'll just we'll come back to you. We'll just quickly take a short break. When we come back, you continue. Please hold your thoughts.
Okay.
our commitment to the values, the creed of dedication, patriotism, and commitment to the value of this country. It is extremely important that we have a change of mindset for the sake of our country. Not for us, but for our children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the inheritors of tomorrow.
Entertainment, show, go TV enjoyment. 65 channels there for you. So fast now 80 channels, go sorry. And super, where they better, where you want to. Better entertainment, where you show. Marvelous, now the new package. We get everything for super. That's all he Premier League, La Liga, Syria, Disney Channel,
On Top Go TV, now you get the remote with better enjoyment for your fingertips. Go TV, love it.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Nigeria means unity.
Nigeria means freedom to me.
Nigeria means greatness to me.
Nigeria is indivisible. There is nothing you can do. We all have to savage it together and learn to love each other. We are indivisible.
As a mother and a leader, I will always preach for peace and unity in this country, because that is the only thing that will give us progress.
Though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And it is the woman that does that.
Here is his moment. Kvaratskhelia finally the last season's top scorer before kick-off. They picked it out. Early ball. Caputo. Lovely finish. Nagy. Lovely to Fazzini. And Jazzy.
Sportybet sponsors coverage of the Italian Serie A.
Right, welcome back to the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria, and if you've just joined in, we welcome you just as much as we welcome Mr. Matthew Sunday Temidayo, who is the Director, Vital Registration National Population Commission. I had earlier on introduced him, and Mr. Temidayo, thank you for joining us. I understand you were caught up in the traffic.
Yes, it's a pleasure being here.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Someday we'll get over that. Yes, let's get back.
Yes. Mr. Bankole was speaking on the features of the data system. Right. So you are yet to conclude your thought.
Yes, we're actually on marriage and annulment.
Yes.
We're putting clarity into MPC is not, people can still go to their registry and their local government to do their marriage, but what we need them to do is to notify the system of their marriage, change of name and all of that. And that's why we have modification, and we have that part where you need to notify, divorce is annulment. I believe that it's called annulment, but of course Nigerians know what is called divorce. So all of that is part of what we have in the system, and that is going to be up and running. Okay. Immediately the president unveil it. So by tomorrow, by God's grace, everybody will have access to that. So people can go online, go to the National Population Commission website, and they will go to their services. It's going to be part of the services. Then you click, you do what you need to do. So far you have your NIN, because we need to verify this. MPC is the foundational data of all Nigerian, because you are born before you are given a number. That number from birth, it's MPC. And that is in alignment with NIMC. So one good thing we have also done, NIMC and MPC have totally clear mandate. I heard you talk about fingerprints. MPC is not doing fingerprint, but the alignment is making them to work together. If a child is born, the day that child is born, the day that child is having his NIN. Because MPC get the data and share with NIMC, and NIMC return the NIN of the child through the API call. The same thing with health. So we'll be able to provide to the primary health care or the Ministry of Health the information of the child when he's born, when he's supposed to get his first immunization, second immunization, so on and so forth. So we're sharing this data. There's an interoperable, like
is there any cost implication on this attestation?
Just for attestation, yes, to maintain the system, and it's not that much. However, for child, for now, okay, the chairman is magnanimous enough to say it's free. By constitution, if you do not register your child in 90 days, you're supposed to pay.
Yes,
just for people to be responsible. But UNICEF has taken a lot of burden to say, don't worry, we'll share it. And they're helping. So they had an agreement to say that, okay, for the period of time, let all Nigerian, the system is not in place. You can't blame them for that. So the system will be up and running for all child being born before you're 17 to go register yourself for free. And for adults, you have to pay for that because we have to keep the system going. And also,
and NIMC is a prerequisite for adults.
For all adults.
Your NIMC,
NIN. For those child that have their NIN too. Yes. For child that have their NIN, they want to use the system, they can go ahead and use that after today. However, every hospital is going to have the system with a partnership. So when the child is born, they notify MPC. By right, the DCR, Director Register, Deputy Chief Register is supposed to be the one. But because of the number of child, like UNICEF partner said, over 20,000. We can't have 20,000 there, right there and there. So hospital is a notifier as a partner to say that a child is born here, register that child. And we're going through the National Assembly to make sure they mandate them to do it.
We'll come to that. I know, maybe Mr.
Okay. You're going to ask the
UNICEF
representative.
Yes, Mr. Sese. Mr. Sese, just hold your thoughts. Let's just allow Mr. Sunday Temidayo. I'm sure you've been able to catch your breath by now. Yes. So you're Director of Vital Registration National. So you are in the center of it all. So to tell us, what was it like trying to, capture the register, people? What was the process like? Just give us a vivid picture of what you had to go through.
Thank you so much. Before this time, we have been operating on the analog platform. And operating on the analog platform is quite rigorous. You carry paper here and there. But the new thing in the whole universe today is that nobody should be left behind. And Nigeria cannot afford to be left behind. The whole world is going digital. And under the leadership of our chairman, the commissioner said, no, we need to go digital. And migrating to the digital platform makes things quite easier. It allows, for one thing, interoperability. We and other sister agencies like NIMC, Federal Ministry of Health, Primary Health Care, Immigration Service, we ought to be sharing data. But you cannot do that.
Just tell us, because they've talked about interagency. Just tell us the process.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell them the problems of manual.
Okay. The problem of manual registration. One, real-time access to data is not there. Two, it allows for duplication of registration. Three, it doesn't allow for interoperability. And four, is cumbersome. We have a lot of forms that have been filled, that we have issued certificates that are lying down there. And we need to process them and digitize them. Which, if we had been on the digital platform, there wouldn't have been the need. And these forms that are lying there now, anything can happen. If there's fire incident, if there's flood, anything can happen to them. By migrating to the digital platform, the storage system will be perfect.
Can I just add?
Okay.
If with that form of manual operation, when you want to, you receive letters daily. Somebody wants to verify, is this certificate genuine? Or Interpol has gotten somebody and he said he's a Nigerian, and he said he was born so. Pass it to him. They pass from him. It may not be in Abuja. It may be in any other state. He has to pass the whole thing to that state. Go and start looking for the document, the date of those registration, and check out. So it's really, when he said cumbersome, he just wrapped it. It is really tough. So, and the duplication, then the issue of attitude of staff sometimes. You come to do this, somebody going around the corner say, give us so and so. You know what, this thing is supposed to be free. Yeah. So those are things. With this digitization, everything will be clear, will be very transparent.
Okay. Okay, so I will now let Mr. Ibrahim Sese speak to the earlier issue, question.
You were contributing to what he was saying the other time, and we asked you to hold it.
Okay.
And we want you to now express it.
The critical element here is you could have all the necessary tools, but it is the utility of these tools to really give you the sort of anticipated result you want. We have a digital system, strong political commitment at the top. The readiness with regards to what needs to be done is already there. But what is critical, how do we make sure that child is in that very remote location? The birth is registered, a certificate is issued to say when they get home, and then bringing that service home. Because this is the issue with regards to the incentive for that registration. Like the apathy, or certain times people will say, look, I just don't want to be registered. And I don't know why they are really registering me. How can we really break those barriers to make sure it works? That is the crux. Because create the demand, and at the same time, the supply component with regards to what we need should be there.
Precisely.
Now, not everybody in a rural location will have access to a mobile phone. Oh, we are doing X, which was formerly Twitter. Or you go on a Facebook page. Some don't even have television. Even the amount of money they will really require, even to put for a battery for them to really operate a transitional radio, is not really there. So those were mechanisms that we've been using. Now, that is a new pathway, which will really be a whole of society approach, collective responsibility, like what we just addressed earlier, bringing in traditional leaders, a segment of government. You have like a national orientation agency. How can we reach every household to say, look, this is the benefit of a birth certificate? How can we bring in the religious leaders? After a Friday sermon, somebody will be out there to say, this is the vanguard in terms of what will really help you, and these are the benefits for that child to really receive a certificate. So there will be a lot of groundwork. The relationship with governors in every state, bringing in local government authorities, the algons that are there, bringing in women organizations, because the most critical one is those who really even give birth to a child. Now, the incentive there, a birth registration for a child that is born is free. Now, for those that are being delayed or late, and that is what Bankole, including the chairman, was talking about, all these issues of attestation, it's not you will not be going through all those rigorous processes any longer, because we are now bringing technology to the home. we are now bringing technology to the community. So we will take different approaches in terms of mobilizing the critical mass of community, not through these traditional processes, but bring in a strategy that will really help make sure the service is brought to you rather than you seeking the service. Because in most situations, what happens? People have to walk long distances to really access the service. It takes a very long time for the certificate to be issued, and it creates a disincentive. So we're turning things around, and that's why part of this planning with rigor and everything that is required, we are putting all that into perspective. So we do hope, not just in terms of the political situation and then having all of these commitments, you are a partner in this business.
Yeah.
So that's where we are starting today. You are a partner in this business, and all of the associated partners you have like NOA, being part of what we really need to do is very, very critical. And we really need to make sure partnerships here will require us, at the household, at the community, at the ward level, in whole health facilities, be they primary health care, hospitals, and all of this. We are traditional birth attendants, let's don't forget them. Yeah. And mobilizing women, because they have been some of those that have really been using the service. And with the new law that is coming, which will really make it very friendly, more especially also for women to really access the service, is very, very critical. So these are the investments we're looking at to really make sure we get to the grassroots and then mobilize everyone that is there, including schools, communities, so that they will really be part of the system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sise, for that deep insight there. But now let's go to the launch proper for tomorrow. The launch of the Electronic Civil Registration and Vital Statistics, that is the ECRVS, will be accompanied by launch of the National Geospatial Data Repository, okay, and the inauguration of the National Coordination Committee at the same time. So what is the connection between the CRSV and the geospatial data, and what significance is the inauguration of a coordinating committee?
Okay, thank you very much. We've been talking so much about the ECVRS,
yes,
but we say we're going to improve the ECVRS process by also showcasing where those events take place. That's the geospatial. The geospatial data we derived it when we were doing census mapping. So it gave us the opportunity to have data of every community in the country, every building, every household, every service, all these masks, the road network, the streets, we all have them. So if you overlay the ECVRS on this geospatial data, it will tell you what is taking place in each of those places.
Okay.
So that is why we are launching both the ECVRS and the geospatial data repository. It is not just for ECVRS. It is there for the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Housing, Ministry of Water Resources, Power, telecommunications, everything we have. Even the issue of security-prone areas, we have mapped that out. So it is a whole bunch of data that is available to, fast-track Mr. President's renewed hope agenda for Nigeria, so that we have a very robust system in place. And the ECVRS being a very important program, we have a national coordinating committee comprising some key ministries, agencies, and other partners. Mr. President is going to inaugurate that committee. So we have a total package around the ECVR system. It is going to be a great thing, and we are very, very grateful to Mr. President for accepting to personally launch this ECVRS and the geospatial data repository, as well as inaugurate the National Coordinating Committee on e-CVRs. Thank you.
Okay. You know, Mr. Sese, like I said earlier on, I'm baffled that SDG 16.9, it's not something that, I'm actually just going through it. And I was attracted to it by what you said, that it's probably, the only goal that Nigeria is on track and will probably, meet targets and all that. And it's all about the provision of legal documentation being recognized and addressed as a global development issue. Now, the current suggestion for an indicator on legal identity is percentage of children under 5. Why is that?
This is very critical, because when you look in terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, you really need to know your citizens. And of course, the most important segment of that population are children. Now, for legal identity, which you look in terms of Nigeria, we've really been able to really forecast what the gaps are and where we are going. By 2030, we only have seven years on the road, reaching the finish line. We've been able to cascade for 2023. If we are able to go in, say like a 10 million mark with regards to children's birth, registered, certificates are issued. Until 2030, the total number we're really forecasting is somewhere around 40 million. Because each year, as I've mentioned, 7.5 to 8 million are born, but there are those that have not been registered during the 5-year period. So we're making sure there is a mop-up operation, and that's why currently we're having somewhere around 23,000 individuals that are now working in 24 states, including FCT, that are now reaching every household so that those registrations are occurring. By next year, the remainder of the 36 states will not be able to cover those. But the ones that we are doing for this year, hopefully completing the task that we are working on, the concentration point will not be on newborns. So you're setting up a system in such a way, those that are under 5, whilst they are being covered, the new ones that are now coming in, you don't allow a sort of a leap into year 2. So like the Ministry of Health, working alongside with NPC, we're working on a relationship whereby once the child is being born, there is a notice for registration of birth. If you are given a vaccine in terms of immunization, it will notify you whether that child has received a birth certificate. But if a certificate is issued, we have children that are under 5 in this country, over 2.5 to 3 million of them. They've never received one single vaccine, not even a single dose. So that will also give us a notification that this birth is registered, but there is no immunization really carried out in this particular
critical for planning purposes.
Precisely. So this is where you see it's central for service provision in terms of a legal identity. Health insurance scheme you really want to get. Who are you? Where are you? What are the attributes? And are you fulfilling the criteria so that you'll be able to benefit the services? You should be in school. Why not are you not in school? This will really help you in terms of achieving other SDGs. So this is very critical and central when it really comes in terms of population. But the most important thing to start from is the child.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sise. Very critical and important. And let me come to Mr. Temidayo, who is the director of Vital Registration and National Development. Now, we're looking at how critical this is, and how does this CRVS launch in Nigeria align with the broader national development goal agenda and contribute to the overall social economic progress and the well-being of the population?
Yes, thank you. How do you plan without data? And CRVS is in the center of generating the data for planning. If you want to plan educationally for the children, if you don't know how many children are born this year, how do you plan ahead in the next 5-6 years on what will be needed? How many teachers will you need? Do you need to expand the school? And all sort of things. The same thing with health. When you know how many children are born or how many are dying, then you'll be able to plan ahead. Even the private sector, let's say the pharmaceutical companies, you need to know how many children are born so that to know how many, the volume of medications you produce. So and so forth. So it cut across every sector of the nation.
Okay.
So data is central for planning. And if you plan without relying on data, that plan will definitely fail.
I think
thank you very much for that. Mr. Bankole.
Yes, I was just going to say that Mr. Sese also, also elaborated on yes. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, I want to find out how you intend to integrate with other existing government databases, like we have in the healthcare records, educational data, to facilitate a comprehensive planning, for the country.
Okay, thank you. Currently, we're also with NIMSI.
Okay.
NIMSI and MPC are the foundational identity, where a number is given. That is an identity number. And again, we're also working with Ministry of Health to share data with them.
Okay.
So I know they're putting together system as well. So some of the agencies don't have system, which they need to build a system to communicate. Okay.
Do you help them in building this?
Well, it depends on where they are in terms of, it depends on where they are in their infrastructure, technology infrastructure. If not, we will advise. And we have UNICEF who is championing that already. So there's going to be a central identity management system, which involves the collaboration of all the core agencies, that ecosystem that really need to work together. There's no way you give services in terms of medical without having the data, without knowing which child do I need to give to, what identity does they have, what immunization does they have, what education in this different area. And the system that is built with MPC is decentralized. So I can pick a local government, I know the child that is born around there, like you said, so you'll be able to plan. So the team of primary health care in that community also work together. So eventually everybody's going to work together. There's going to be a system that can capture everything in terms of notifying for immunization. A child is born here, is due for this. There's going to be a notification. The mother will be notified that bring your child for, is due for these days and all of that. So all of those systems, as we speak, is ongoing. And MPC is taking the lead because that's the foundation. Even if you register everybody for NIN, in Nigeria, a child will be born the next day. 20,000 will be born.
He just gave us the statistics. Yes, yes. And that's why I'm going to ask you as well. Some tech companies, come up and take up, big contracts like this, claiming to have the capacity to, attend to those contracts. And then when they have real-time experience, they develop cold feet. And we saw that happening during the SIM card, swap. I mean, they were overwhelmed by the crowd and all that. I want to believe that after tomorrow's lunch, you would expect that. I mean, Demola and I, for instance, will lead to do verification or for some registration and all that. Does banks forth, have the capacity to meet, potential surge or potential,
challenge, to be able to handle this challenge?
And this is why we have run with UNICEF. for this period. Of course, you see the challenges. We see the real life. Okay, so you cannot give a company huge contract and just roll out like that. There must be a beta version, alpha version, and all of that. All of those versions has gone through with MPC. We've seen the real life scenario. We've learned on the field. This is over a year ago. We've learned on the field. We've seen the problem of the people. We've fixed it. That is where we get to this stage, and that is why it can only be launched. UNICEF does not attach to, they are international standards.
So what are some of those hard knocks that you encountered in the process?
Okay, so the network is one. Okay. The individual, the agents are another people. You have to make sure that the right people utilize. You can have the best technology. If you don't have the right people to utilize it, is another problem. Okay, so sometimes you have a form of a hardware issue where you know that this is the type of hardware that needed to be used. So all of those things are tested to make sure that the right thing are. So while we're looking at all of that challenges, we're fixing it and we're providing. So it took us that long to make sure that what capacity, how do we scale up, what kind of infrastructure do we need. They're using over 23,000 people as we speak. But like you said, technology has gone beyond, not knowing how to scale system. Facebook has over 2 billion. Nigeria is not 2 billion. Nigeria is just 200 million. So I'm sure that,
more
of
than
course,
200 million.
maybe.
Anyway,
So
this system will provide the right. There have always been conflicts about what exactly is the population of Nigeria.
Well, I want to go there.
So with this launch now, we should be able to solve that problem.
Right.
Okay, fine.
At least we're on track.
You're on the track.
I take UNICEF's word, and if UNICEF says on this goal, SDG goals, we're on track, I'm glad we're on. At least we're on track on something. But we are also making significant progress on goals the goals on health. Yes, I think yes, we're making significant progress on that. So, Chairman, what are we expecting tomorrow? Is it going to be a wow launch and all that?
It is an epoch-making event for us at MPC, having Mr. President coming to launch this himself. And it is something I personally and the MPC team as a whole have been working to really transit from that analog system to a digital system. And I want to call on all Nigerians, please support MPC. Let's support Mr. President.
Is this part of the money you paid? This is advance.
Okay.
We're all working together. We're all working together.
Yes.
Just like he said, we're all working together.
Yes.
We're involved in this.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
I want to say, sincerely speaking, I thank the United Nations agencies. They are working to bring all the stakeholders together so that we can work as a team. And when we work as a team, we're able to get data from each other and then make it available for the purpose of policy making and for planning too. And also doing monitoring and evaluation of all the things that we do. Going forward, once we get this launch done with, it is for us the start of the job, because we will now go all out to make sure we implement this without failing. We want to make sure all hands must be on deck. Those that need to be trained will be trained. Those equipment that need to be upgraded will be upgraded, so that we can have. Nigeria is the largest country in Africa. If we get it right, we can say Africa has gotten it right. So,
all right.
If we get it right, we can say Africa
has gotten it right.
Yes, that's
all right. I think it will not be out of place to say congratulations, gentlemen, for this, mark UNICEF has given us on SDG Goal 16. And congratulations to you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you.
And Honorable Chairman of National Population Commission is Honorable Nasir Isakwara. And of course, we've been talking about electronic civil registration and vital statistics. Let me also appreciate Mr. Ibrahim Sese, who's the Chief Child Protection of UNICEF UNICEF. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Adedayo Bankole, MD CEO, Banks Food Technologies Limited. Thank you for simplifying all these apps and IT, jargons.
Still has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and Matthew Sunday Temidayo, who is the Director, Vital Registration National Population Commission. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. All right, Demola, you've got the next.
Yes.
Sports.
Do we have sports?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So sport desk for some sports news.
Kano Pillars 3-0 at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos on Monday. Junior Lokosa was on target in the 12th and 36th minutes against his former club. The former MPFL top scorer has now scored 3 goals for Paul Offor's side. Jonathan Aluku scored the other goal for Sporting Lagos.
Having to recycle the energies, could be Sporting Lagos this time! Junior Lokosa with yet another!
Meanwhile, Super Eagles and Bayer Leverkusen striker